Yo, LaMelo Ball is what Lonzo was supposed to be. It's a hot take, but I don't really think it's so hot. This is calling our shot. I'm Austin, and we're back to recap the NBA tonight. And we got to start with no bigger storyline than the improvement of LaMelo Ball. He's getting more minutes for the Hornets, and man, if you've been watching, you had to be impressed. Tonight, he became the youngest player to ever put up a triple-double. He put up 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. An insane stat line for someone that's coming off the bench. And you know what? Sooner or later, the Hornets are going to have to start the man. And I don't know if that means Devontae Graham or Terry Rozier going to the bench, but LaMelo's been playing too well to not put him in the starting lineup. Like, I understand you're giving him the reins to the second unit, but come on, he just put up a triple-double. He's played well in the last 3-4 games, and they're quietly on a 3-game win streak, and you know, they're in contention for a playoff spot. I know it's an overreaction. The season just started. They're only through 8 to 10 games, so there's a lot to digest and a lot to break down. But I mean, how good can LaMelo Ball be? And it's a good question. I'm sure everyone's got different and differing viewpoints, but he could be a top 10, 15 player in the league. Constantly putting up triple doubles, kind of similar to Luka. I don't know if he'll have the scoring prowess that Luka does, but I mean, he just put up 22 points off the bench. So, everyone wants to count Luka as the next savior, but I think LaMelo Ball has a chance. And I know he's young, and that's an overreaction to one of his best games so far in his young career. But hey, man, I don't know. If you watch that game, you saw him. He gets his teammates in the right place, and he's good. He's fun to watch, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I was hoping he would get to us. But then after we fell in the lottery, I knew there was no chance, and I'm just happy to see a small market team like LaMelo, or like the Hornets, get a player like LaMelo with all the hype behind him. It's going to be fun to see where they go this season, and I'm just looking forward to seeing progress and mature his game. The other big takeaway, and this is not necessarily about tonight, but it's just about the beginning of the season, and that would be the play of the Phoenix Suns. So currently they're 7-3. I believe they're at the top or right near the top of the Western Conference, and they've been looking good. I mean, Mikal Bridges has been a stud, and tonight was his coming out party. He just had 34 points, and they're looking like what everyone was hoping they would be. You got Booker, who's going to give you 25 a night, and then you got Chris Paul, who's going to step up in crunch time and make the big shots when you need to make them. And then you got players like Ayton. Ayton struggled tonight, although Miles Turner was leading the league in blocks, so not a surprise on that front. But Mikal Bridges, 34. They got Jay Crowder, Dario Saric. They're deep, and they're going to be a good team. How far they can go, I think they're a threat, but I don't necessarily think they have the star power to beat the Lakers. But, I mean, they're arguably a deeper team than the Lakers, and they have talent at the right positions, and you never know. The NBA is a crazy league, and I'm just excited to see what the Suns can be. They haven't been good in several years, and I'm just happy Booker finally gets to be on a winning team, and that they're taking what they did in the bubble as the bubble Suns, 8-0, and bringing that over into the NBA regular season with their start through 10 games thus far. They're a fun team to watch, and I look forward to seeing where they go as the season goes on. Booker really hasn't necessarily had one of his 30-point, 40-point games this year, and that's why it's so impressive how they've started. They're 7-3, and he hasn't necessarily shot the leather off the ball. So it's gonna be fun to watch these Suns. But there's a lot of teams out west. You got the Nuggets, who we'll get into next, and they kind of played a G League team with whatever the Sixers are trotting out there, but that goes back to show you COVID's going to make this year a really crazy one. That's why the Sixers are playing only 7 men today. They had half their roster on the COVID protocol. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid both sat out for injuries, and there's only so much you can do. But I mean, bright spot, Tyrese Maxey, 39 points in a start, and while he did get up more shots than I think he'll ever shoot in a game for probably the remainder of his career, he still looked good. He stopped 16 for 29, something like that. And so, he's a good player. I like what the Sixers are doing. They disappointed me a couple nights ago with their loss to, I believe, the Nets. But, they're still looking good, still at the top of the Eastern Conference. And still a team that I think, when healthy, they could be a force in the East. But Nuggets, you got the Lakers, Clippers, who keep blowing 20-point leads, but I don't know. There's a lot of teams out west that could make some noise in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what happens this year. A couple other of the smaller games that we're going to talk about. I mean, the Bucks beat the Cleveland shorthanded. Giannis didn't play, but neither did Colin Sexton or Darius Garland. So not much to say there that they took care of the Bucks, or they took care of the Cavs. My mistake, but not much to say on that front. The Heat beat the Wizards shorthanded. Same thing for COVID protocol. Jason Tatum, I believe, tested positive. So Bradley Beal, because he was a close contact, is now out. So they were without. You had no Bradley Beal, no Russell Westbrook for rest purposes, and I think he's injured, but not telling anyone. And then Thomas Bryant went out in the first minute or two with hopefully not a major injury, but I guess time will tell. He's got an MRI scheduled soon. So I guess we'll see with that. Timberwolves and Spurs, as I'm talking about these games, they just went to overtime. Not necessarily a game I'm overly intrigued about. Neither team will make the playoffs, but Karl Anthony Towns just returned tonight, and I know he had 20 points, probably still counting as we talk here. And then you got the Mavs and the Magic. I expect the Mavs to win that game. They're starting the fourth right now. And then the Portland Trailblazers and the Kings just tipped off. So a lot of NBA basketball going on. Those are just my main takeaways. Man, LaMelo Ball is going to be special. If you don't know, Calling Our Shot, we have our daily player props article where we post betting and player props that we bet on at callingourshot.com. If this is your first time, be sure to check us out there, and be sure to check us out on Twitter or Instagram, really anywhere at Calling Our Shot. I'll be back tomorrow to break down the NBA recap of tomorrow, and I'm out. Peace.